Well, hello there. Is it Foxy Files? How are you doing? Welcome and thank you for being. Hey, just be real. I'm respecting your time. Hey, Miss Shirley, how are you? I'm respecting your time. Just be real. We're gonna get a few people in here, and then when we get them in here, I'm gonna make sure we do our 45 minutes, and then we're out. Good evening. Is that Honey Bear? How are you doing? Hello, everyone. Hi, Kim. How are you doing? Hey, Julie. How are you? Is it Julie? Julie. Let me put my glasses on. Give me just a sec. Let me clean my glasses off. It is. It's been a long time. Hi, Miss Erica. How are you doing? Thank you so much for being here. Is that Kim and Kinsey? How are you doing? Thank you for being here. All right. I think I can see out these things here. I hope. Thank you guys so much for being here. We're going to wait for a few more people to come in so we can start talking. Hey, T. Stewart, I want to respect my moderator's time. Hi, Tina, how are you? I'm going to respect my moderator's time because she has another something else that she has to do. So I want to make sure that I respect her time since she's volunteering to help me. And I truly appreciate you, Just Be Real. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for being with me for the conference. And is that, okay, hold on, y'all. Let me put my glasses on, okay? Let me put my glasses on so I can see what I'm reading. Give me just a second. Let me put my glasses on. Thank you guys so much for being here. All right. Let me see. This is a little better. Oh, I can see. So let's see. Is Faustina. How are you doing? Hey, Rosalinda. They clean now. They're clean now. Leave me alone. Thank you. I love her. Is it I love rhythm? That's what I'm talking about. Me too, girl. How are you guys doing? I don't come on Clubhouses. I come on Clubhouse on Tuesdays to support my mother when she's on Clubhouse. But me personally on Clubhouse, I haven't really done it because I've ran out of devices. And so I can only do so many devices as I can. And so, but I thank you for asking. I'll probably come back from time to time on Clubhouse when I have an opportunity. They change so much up. It's not that easy for me to maneuver on Clubhouse. But thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate you. I've been missing you too. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. I know I have been busy and we have a conference coming up. Well, my mother has a conference coming. Hey, Savannah. So for those of you that are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, I will be in the Dallas-Fort Worth area with my mother, Apostle Helen Sadler, your destiny helper from I'll be there on Thursday, the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. And so if you are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, she has a conference at the Hilton, and you can still register. If you can't register, you're always welcome to swing by and say hello, but to register and be there at the conference where you get to see all the speakers that she has available, it's going to be very powerful. But I will be there at the conference. So if you guys want to come and say hello, if you want to be at the conference, if you go to Into His Chambers Global Ministries on Facebook, you can still register for the conference, or if you would like to see the conference online. But those of you, I will be in Texas, in Dallas. I fly in on Wednesday and then I leave the following Tuesday on the, I think it's the 12th. So, and those of you that were able to come to my conference, Erica, go to Into His Chambers Global Ministries or Into His Chambers Ministry. I think it's under, I can't click off the screen, but Charcetta, if you can, okay, she's going to put it there for you. So Erica, she's going to put it there for you so that you can go and click on the site if you want to register so we know that you're coming, okay? And we're going to be there. It's going to be very powerful. It's going to be very powerful. And I really appreciate those that supported me on my conference as well. I appreciate you guys. I really do for supporting me. It was a powerful conference. It was this past Saturday. I think it was the Saturday before. was the last Saturday, the Saturday before, July 26th, 27th. But thank you guys so much for supporting me. You guys make it happen. It was a very, hey, Mark, how are you? It was a very powerful conference. I will be posting it on in my school app, so that if you guys would like to pay and watch pay for the conference and watch the conference, you'll be able to do that as well. But let's go ahead and get started. Please forgive me. I am a little tired. As soon as I come off, I have to start packing to start traveling. But I want to thank you guys for being here. And we're going to start. Just give me a few minutes just to have a conversation. Just Be Real. If you can clock me 45 minutes, I want to respect Just Be Real's time, because Just Be Real has 45 minutes to spend with us. And I don't like to be online without her, because she helps me to focus. And so I want to make sure I'm able to focus. But Just Be Real, if you can give me 45 minutes, and then I will let you go. But so let's talk about some things before we open it up for questions, okay? So one of the things that I always talk about, I am now under the training of a lady by the name of Sandra Brown. She's a psychotherapist and she is a researcher. So she used to do psychotherapy. Now she is strictly into research. And the institute that she has created is the Institute of Reduction of Relational Harm. And she educates the public, the legal system, the public. She educates the public about the reduction of relational harm. And that's the Institute of Reduction of Relational Harm. And she educates the public about pathological love relationships. And if you look up the word pathological means disease or disorder. And she puts it with the term relationship, because when you are in a relationship, and I'm going to say, and she describes it with the dark the dark triad. And she describes the dark triad. And a lot of you guys know the dark triad is the narcissist, the narcissistic personality disorder, antisocial personality disorder, and what you would know as psychopathy or psychopath, the psychopathy. And when you're talking about psychopathy, we talked about pathology, but psychopathy is the study of mental disorders or mental diseases. And so mental disorders and mental diseases, when you put psychopathy or psychopaths, that is what you're talking about, an individual with a mental disorder or mental disease. And she talks about the dark triad: narcissistic personality disorder, antisocial personality disorder, and psychopathy. And these three are ones that they call them the dramatic personality disorders on the cluster B spectrum. And these are the ones that usually have low to no conscience, and usually they lack emotional empathy. These individuals, if you and what she describes within the 30 years of studying, she studies with different researchers, is that what you find is most research has been geared toward the severity of mental health issues, or the severity of abnormal psychology, or the severity of personality disorders, especially these type of personalities. So the most of the studies and the research has been geared more toward the extreme or the severity of the mental disorder or the personality disorder. But there's a lack of study for the trauma and the trauma disorders, or the trauma or the damage that these individuals have done to those that have been abused by them. Because for most of you know that these individuals, they're charismatic, a lot of them work in the jobs at which low empathy and low consciousness is applauded, or they're in society and they're charmers, and they pass through society. They're low, they stay low on the radar, because I believe it's called the disorder of hiding, or something, social hiding, or something like that. I have to go look the name up again. But many people are accustomed, they're accustomed to the model that was presented by domestic violence programs, domestic violence program, which teaches about power and control, and the power and control wheel, the domestic violence wheel, but it does not include the trauma caused by these type of personality disorders, the dark triad, these type of personality disorders. And most of the programs have been, like the domestic violence program, which we don't want to get rid of because, this is our start point. But these programs focus on providing the survivor with education about power and control, the power and control, the domestic violence wheel, the power and control, teaches them about that, and also teaches them about taking the abuser and holding the abuser accountable for their actions, responsible, making sure that they go to victims panel, they get anger management, they get, counseling, maybe family counseling, and reunite the family together, or, keeping the victim safe. But one thing that they do not talk about is the trauma caused by individuals that have psychopathy, pathological behaviors, or like I said, the dark triad. And so Sandra Brown has been making a great effort because now there is training out for therapists to teach them and for us to teach the public about these type of individuals and the type of damage that they cause. The damage that they cause. Another thing that is a way of correcting my thinking, because I too, on my on my journey of learning, we wonder how I am and most of the studies has been done with women because there was not enough studies done with men, even though men go through some of the exact same things that we as women do. The problem became is that there's not enough reports, there's not enough conversations and research to present because there was not enough research on the men. So majority of the people that were looking for help and the people that the studies were conducted on were women. So a lot of that information were on women, but it still applies to men. And what has happened is that I even was under the assumption that if you are pulled into or if a narcissist is capable of pulling you in and getting you in that relationship, you may have had some type of trauma or grew up in a family, which is still some of the cases. You may have grown up in a family that traumatized you. You may come from a narcissist family. You may have had neglect, rejection, and all that. But that was not, a lot of people that I began talking to. And one of the things that she reported is that not everybody has been in a bad family. Some of them come from very good families, very healthy families. They have never been traumatized in that sense, have not been traumatized, have not, and so a lot of women that were in high power positions, one lady I think was a judge, another one was a professor, all these women in these high power positions couldn't understand how did they get connected with narcissists. And some of these narcissists were in high power positions as well, judges and things. Hey, Sharima, good to see you. But we're also in high power positions, and they couldn't understand how did they get drawn. And so one of the suggestions that she has made in the research also is that even the survivors' psychological or personality makeup is a little different. And some of the difference is, and I may make sure I get this right, it was empathy, tolerableness, agreeability, and consciousness. I think that's what it was. A high level of agreeability, a high level of tolerance, high level of empathy, and so agreeability as empathy, tolerance, agreeability, and consciousness. And this is like the makeup, the different psychological makeup of those that have drawn narcissists. And then of course some of you guys are empaths, that have drawn narcissists. And so a lot of you are also loyalists, very loyal. You've learned to be very loyal, and a lot of you have never experienced this type of connection or this type of personality or this type of person. Most of you, I don't understand what is going on with these individuals. And a lot of times you're trying to figure that out while you are in the midst of the storm. You can't figure that out in the midst of the storm. When you are in the middle of the storm, your goal is to escape that storm and then turn around and to learn about what you've went through. Education is one of the most powerful thing, and this is one of the things that she does teach, is to educate not just the public but the person that has been abused, to educate the abused, the survivors, about what this is, what they came out of, these pathological love relationships, these individuals that are a part of this dark triad. Like I said, the narcissist, antisocial personality disorder, and psychopathy or psychopath, psychopathy. And a lot of you, though you may not think you've ever come across any of these individuals in your lifetime, you have come across these individuals. A lot of you are also dealing with, narcissists, whether you have children by them, family members, parents, these individuals have a great impact. And she also made mention in there that if you ever come across these type of individual, it is inevitable that there's going to be damage caused. There's going to be harm and there's going to be damage. It just, everything that they do, they may, you listen to them and they may provide great principles. But the problem with the great principles that they provide you is that there's always an ulterior motive. There's always, they have great principles. They don't follow the principles themselves. There's always an ulterior motive. There's always something behind what they're doing. If they give you money, or if they provide their children with all that, their expectation is there is a unquestionable obligation, and what do we call it? A unquestionable, uh what is it called? Not dedication, but when you are connected with someone, a unquestionable, not dedication, come on, you guys help me with the word. A unquestionable, not dedication, come on y'all, it's on the tip of my tongue, loyalty. An unquestionable loyalty, that if I do these things, remember, everything that a narcissist does comes with, there's always an ulterior motive, and there's always something that goes along with it. And I was joking with someone because they have this thought that if I give you this, or I'm doing this, and this is bond, yeah, unquestionable bond, but an unquestionable loyalty, that you are loyal. And if I ask you to do something, that because I do this for you, loyalty, you have no choice but to do this back. And so anything that you take from a narcissist, or don't ever think that they're doing something out of the kindness of their heart, because they're not. They never do anything out of the kindness of their heart. It comes with strings attached, always, even with their own children, because they don't see their children as individual human beings themselves. They see them as an extension of themselves, and they see them as property. And so it doesn't matter what you think, is what I tell you to think. It is what I tell you to do. And there's an unspoken loyalty and unspoken bond, and you cannot break it. Because if I'm doing this for you, even if it's something as simple as, believe it or not, something as simple as I buy you food, I buy you clothes, I put a roof over your head, automatically their assumption is that I do this for you, so you owe me this. So it doesn't matter what it is that I ask you to do, you do it. And I was joking with someone, and they were like, yeah, it's almost like if I buy you a hamburger or a soda, then you owe me your firstborn, you owe me your soul, you owe me one of your kidneys. That's how extreme they can be. And even though it's humorous, that's how extreme, they are when it comes to their expectation of people. Their children are not kids that are growing up to be independent people. Their kids are extension of themselves. That their kids are pieces, their property. And you do as I told you what to do. And when I buy you food, water, clothes, put a roof over your head and clothes on your back, I expect unquestionable loyalty from you, no matter what it is that I do. And no matter what it is that they do for you, information they give you, principles that they provide you, is always an ulterior motive. There's always an ulterior motive. And the hard part about it is that as we are teaching our family, friends, or children about these individuals, the hardest thing is that, and for some of you guys, you are very, is that Uncle Jeff? Is that Uncle Thomas Jefferson? Is that my uncle? But for a lot of people, the hardest thing is that I'm embarrassed to tell people that I love my mother, my father, my ex-husband, my children's dad, or whatever. But you have to understand that you have regular, normal emotions. You have the capacity to love someone. And the thing is even if they're doing you wrong, it doesn't matter. You have the capacity to love someone. The problem becomes is that you are trauma bonded to this individual. And you are trauma bonded to this individual. You are traumatically bonded to this individual because they are, it's almost like a predator. A predator never sleeps. If you watch the movie The Predator, predator doesn't sleep, but that is what you're dealing with when you're dealing with this dark triad. You're dealing with predators that, you're at constant war. And the war is between right and wrong, darkness and light. And this is the war that you are constantly in with these individuals. And most people, like, you can't constantly be at war with somebody. This is the constant battle that you are with a narcissist, an antisocial individual, or a psychopathic person, or psychopathy or psychopathic person. You're constantly at war with light, dark, good versus bad. The battles that you go through with them is a battle of, my identity, the battle of my freedom, the battle of standing on my two toes, or my yes being yes, or my no being no, or you can't have control over my soul, you can't have control over me. That is the constant battle. And even if you think, okay, I've finally gotten beyond this, I've won this battle, this is over with, that narcissist is brooding somewhere, coming up with another plan, because a narcissist will not stop. When they set their mind on something, it's like a bloodhound. When their nose catches a scent, they're going to follow that through, even if they fall into the water. A narcissist wants what they want, and when they lock into something and they want it, it doesn't matter how long it takes. They're going to pursue it. They're going to pursue it. And if you think you won this battle, they're coming back. They're going to give you a break so they can rethink. It's like playing chess. I mean, yeah, playing chess. You're a stalemate, or you're on checkmate, and they're going to come up with another plan, because what they want is this over here. They could be talking about, and the word game, the word salad. That word salad would drive you crazy. That word salad will make you, it almost like it runs you crazy, because yeah, they will not stop. And the word salad, the whole time they're playing games, you're talking about bacon and eggs, and then they're giving you example about horseshoes and butter pecan cakes, and you're trying to figure out, how do these two go together? And they run through their word players. They're good with words, like a car salesman. They're good at playing the game. They're good, and then the minute you catch on to one thing, they jump onto something else, and then jump on something else, and they jump on something else. But this is this word salad that they're playing back and forth, because their whole focus is on something that you may not be focused on. They cause a great confusion. Let me say this real quick. And I know that everybody that is on, here may not be a Christian or a believer of Jesus Christ. And that is understandable, and we respect that. I want you to take the principle of what I'm getting ready to say. In the Bible, it talked about Peter walking on water, if you guys remember that, right? And Peter saw Jesus. Jesus, if that's you, tell me to come. Jesus tells him to come. Peter steps out of the boat, and by faith, he walks on water, right? Now, understand that Peter was a fisherman. He was accustomed to being on the water. He was accustomed to storms and things like that on the water, because he was a seasoned fisherman. This is his whole family, his whole life. This is what they did, right? And so he's walking on the water. He has his eyes focused on Jesus. The moment he breaks his focus and starts looking at the storm and the turmoil and the confusion and all that, he begins to sink. And I want you to use that analogy for just a minute, because the one thing that a narcissist wants to do is to break your focus. You have your mind focused on a yes, or you focused on a no, or you're focused on this right here. The one thing that a narcissist will do is try to break your focus. And so they break your focus by causing all such a drama and all such a, get you to focus on. Remember, a magician will tell you, your right hand could be faster than your left hand. A lot of times what they'll do is they get you focused on this right hand right here, but the trick, the magic trick is actually happening in the left hand. But the illusion is to keep you focused on my right hand, because I'm gonna keep my right hand busy doing something while I'm taking your wallet out of your purse, while I'm taking your pen out of there, while I'm slowly taking your wristband off of your arm, because you're focused on all this right here. As long as I can keep you busy and keep you focused over here, you don't know what my left hand is doing. And a narcissist is the exact same way. Be weary when, or be leery, or be watchful, or be mindful when you have a narcissist that wordplay, word salad, talks a lot, talks really fast. 1 minute you're talking about this, the next minute you're talking about this. One day you're talking, this minute you're talking about a cow, the next minute you're talking about Mars. You're talking about a pudding pie, and the next minute you're on NASA headed to Mars, and you can't figure out how that happened. There's always a ulterior motive, and there is a focus that they have. They're not going to be straightforward to get to what it is they want, but they're going to cause a lot of confusion to break your focus in order to get what it is they want. And so a lot of times I tell people all the time, limit your conversation with them. You let your yes be yes, your no be no. Keep your foot planted on the ground and don't continuously argue with them. Yes, no, yes, no. And the biggest thing is that if you can disconnect. I do tell people a lot of times that you have children by this individual, so there should be a limited conversation, but they're going to find a way to have a conversation. And one of the biggest things when they do hoovers, when you break contact with them and they try to hoover you back in, one of the biggest thing they'll do is they'll create an emergency. Hey, can you call me real quick? My mother passed, or my father passed, or so and so is sick, or I got into an accident, or I did this. They create an emergency because they're expecting you to, because you have a kind heart, they're expecting you to jump in. So I just want to say that real quick, just to give you a little information before I open it up for answers. I didn't want to just come on here and say, give me some answers and that's it. Give me some questions and that's it. But I want to take the opportunity, just be real. How much time do we have left before you have to go? How much time do we have? Because I want to respect your time. I do want to respect your time. How much time do we have? 25 minutes? Okay. Well, let's go ahead and open it up for some questions. Y'all, if you have any question, now listen, let me go ahead and just put a disclaimer out there for you. If you have very long questions, then I'm asking you to do a what is it called? Just be real. If you have very long, because number one, your questions go by really fast. I have 3 different screens on, and so on your end, it may look like your question is just sitting there, but it's actually not sitting there. It's scrolling across my page. And so if you have a question and it's a long question, do a super chat. Respect my time and do a super chat. If you have a question that doesn't require a whole lot of thought and I have to focus my attention on that a lot, ask me a question. I don't have a problem answering the question, but if you put a long question on there, just go ahead and give me that respect and super chat me that. It's going to highlight on there so it'll stay on the screen longer on top of that too. But go ahead, ask me a question, talk to me, and let me know what it is that you would like to know. Ask me a question, okay? Christine said, facts, you're preaching. I was just telling my cousin these things. See? So you guys know how to hit the vein. I'm there somewhere, right? I'm there somewhere. So if you got any questions, ask me some questions pertaining to narcissist abuse, pertaining to a narcissist, and I'll answer your question. Y'all ain't got no questions? You want me to get off here real quick? Y'all done with me? Y'all don't want me to say anything? Y'all don't want me, y'all don't have any questions? Y'all want to ask any questions? Let's look over here on where are we at over here on Facebook? Facebook, you don't have any questions? Hi, Kim Duran. Hi, Sandy. Let's see. T. Stewart said, my ex was a covert narcissist. The latest involvement was a somatic narcissist. Are there more narcissists in the world today? Well, of course. All sorts of narcissists out there in the world. You have the somatic narcissist, and then you have the what's the intellectual one? See, now you got me thinking. There's somatic, and then there's cerebral. So a somatic narcissist, soma meaning body, image. So when you say somatic narcissist, you're talking about hold on just a minute, make sure my connection is good. Okay. But somatic, soma, meaning body, somatic narcissists are very concerned about how people see them, how they look. They're the ones that get, I'm not saying everybody that gets plastic surgery is a narcissist. That's not what I'm saying, but they're very, very attuned to how they look, how they present themselves. They always got to make sure they look better than they got to make sure when they get cars, they rent the finest cars, they borrow the finest car, they buy the finest cars, they got this clothes, they're making sure they eat at these restaurants, and some of them are struggling in their finances. They always got to show out for people. They always got to make themselves better than the next person. They put themselves on a level that is better than the average person. I'm more beautiful than the average person. I'm actually smarter than the average person. And then you have the cerebral narcissist. A cerebral narcissist gets fuel from thought. they get fuel from being around people that are intellectual like themselves. A lot of them not over concerned about how they appear. They're more concerned about the intellectuals and how intelligent they are. And they have to be around people that are equally intellectual and educated like they are. A lot of them are not overly interested in sex like the somatic is, because a somatic understands that they can use sex in order to dominate or use control. A cerebral knows that they can use that for a control tactic, but it's not something that they're really into. They may do it because they understand that they can pull you, but a cerebral is all about thought and intellect. Thought and intellect. And when you're talking about covert, you're talking about the overt, which is one that is very obvious that they're one. These are ones that have not really discovered who they are. They know that they're different. Those are the ones that usually have DV charges. They can get police. Those are kind of the more on the violent side as well, because they're just all over the place. Then you have the covert ones. The covert ones are usually ones that are hypersensitive, very, very sensitive to criticism, very, very sensitive. Those are the ones that make themselves look bigger than what they really are because of how sensitive they are. Very sensitive to constructive criticism or criticism whatsoever, and will blow up because, those are the ones also you may have, like the vulnerable narcissist, which is vulnerable, covert, kind of hand in hand. A lot of them that play weak and handicapped, and they oh my gosh, why would you do me like this? Or a lot of them also are attracted to narcissists that are violent toward them, because that's the way that they get fuel, is by the attention that they get. Woe is me, woe is me. And so, yeah, there are different types. You have the altruistic narcissists. The altruistic narcissists are the ones that are always trying to save the world. They're the ones that are your freedom riders. Those are the ones that you'll find, in civil rights groups, and, all sorts of different types of groups, or different types of they're going to help people out, greatest lawyers and support and campaigns. And those are the altruistics. I'll give the shirt off my back. I'm the those are altruistic narcissists. Those are ones that do things for the public. You'll always see them out there fighting for your right, but everything has an ulterior motive behind it. So yeah, there are different types that you can go study to see, the different types of narcissists that you're dealing with. Okay. Let me see. My ex called me, and this is window. My ex called me and I went to see him. I know, big mistake. He was so nice until he realized I changed and would not accept his behaviors again. He ghosted me. What was the narc thinking? You caused a narcissistic injury. He thought, in their minds, they always assume that you're still where they left you. They always think you're weak. They always think that, you're easy to handle. But what happened is they usually discard you, or they tell you that you've changed, and something's wrong with you, and whatever, is because of the fact that they don't have the control that they used to have at one point in time. And so what probably happened is, number one, you maybe scared them away because they weren't ready to, like, okay, something has changed and you can cause a narcissistic injury. And so and then on top of that, if he knows that ghosting you hurts you, he'll try to use that to hurt you, connect with you, hoover you, connect with you, see where you're at, and then ghost you because you may not be ready for me to engage with you again, or I'm gonna have thought fuel. You to start thinking about me so I can start pulling on you. They can sense that, just like empaths can sense that. They can sense that when you actually do a hoover. Sometimes they're waiting for you to do the hoover. I presented myself, now I'm waiting for you to do the hoover. So it's just a game that they play. It's this cruel cycle that they're always playing. That's all it is. Let's see. Whatever you do, let me answer the questions, okay? Just let me answer the questions. Let's see. I'm trying to look through my glasses. Jolisa said, can a person be multi-type, or is it more of a trait? So Jolisa, sometimes a narcissist may start off as a cerebral narcissist. Let's say you have an ugly duck, like, a little ugly duckling. They have not discovered themselves because they have not grown into their big heads, or, they got these big, thick glasses, or, they just goofy, they just, and most of us, when we're young, we kind of goofy, lanky, whatever. And so, you may have a narcissist that's more of a cerebral narcissist. They're very highly intellectual. They're smart in school. and they're good, and they use that because they know how to manipulate people. They feel empowered, they feel really smart, they got to be around the smart people. And then one day, they get these really nice glasses or laser surgery, or they bulk up, or they start growing into their looks, and they start looking really good. It's a possibility that they can switch over and become a somatic narcissist, but their core is still cerebral. They're still thinkers, but now they've discovered themselves and they lean more toward the somatic. So they're more somatic now. Now it's all about looking at me, and I'm handsome and I'm attractive and I can play people and I'm charming and I can do this, and I can do that and I can charm people. Their core is still the cerebral, but now they're operating in that somatic because they have discovered something new about themselves. Now, these are the type that, when they start getting older and they may start losing their appearance, number one, they get depressed because they can't use their charm like they used to. They can't use their appearance. Some of them start looking like these little trolls, little hairy trolls at the end of your pencil and stuff, and sometimes they revert back to the cerebral, their core, what they were before. Now, if the person was actually a somatic all along and never really was a cerebral, these are the ones that have a hard time, because even as they age and they start looking like Shrek, they still believe that they're gorgeous and beautiful and attractive, and you're looking at them, ooh, and some of you have met those narcissists that actually really think they look good, and you're looking at them like, maybe once a long time ago, but yeah, you do have some that, that they revert over to another one, or they, because they have grown into their appearance, and you have some that start losing their appearance and they actually started off as a cerebral and they just go back to the core of what they were. So they do have, they can fluctuate, but they're going to operate in one majority of the time. They're not going to revert and do both of them at the same time. Do alcoholics have narcissistic behaviors? A lot of people have narcissistic behaviors, of course. Anybody can have narcissistic behaviors, traits, but that does not mean that they necessarily have the disorder. The disorder is different. Disorder is permanent. It's not going to change. Traits are flexible. They can change. Traits, you can run through all 9 of the traits, but traits, they can change. They can change with time, with education, with growth, with maturity. And even alcoholics, a lot of them do have the traits and they can change those, but the disorder is different. The disorder, that's permanent, non-flexible. It is permanent, and it's usually out of 9 traits, they usually have 5, maybe 6. If a person has all 9 traits, they're probably also antisocial personality disorder. So they're what they would consider in pop culture as malignant, which all narcissists are malignant, but malignant. Okay. Why is there no overcoming narcissism? Well, you can overcome narcissistic traits by education, growing up, becoming self-aware, taking responsibility of your actions, taking responsibility of, not just your actions, taking responsibility of yourself. But the disorder itself is a permanent personality flaw. It's a and a lot of times it deals with genetics. It also deals with brain structure. If you look at a brain of a narcissist, go look it up. If you look at, and this is some of the things I've been learning in class, if you look at the brain of a person that has narcissistic personality disorder and you look at a normal brain, those 2 brains are different. Yeah, those two brain. Well, hey Harold, how are you doing? But those 2 brains, if you look at the fMRIs, they are actually different. You can tell that there is something different in the brain of a narcissist versus a normal brain. How do you differentiate if they have just traits or actual narcissism? Well, with the traits, there are 9 traits. Know the 9 traits. Number 1, you go look at the 9 traits. You didn't come to my conference this year. I was online. But if you look at the 9 traits, and I'll probably do a class on that. I probably won't do a public thing on that, but I'll probably do a class on that. You guys have to register. But there are 9 traits. If you go look at the 9 traits and see how they, you can look at something, but how do they play out? Normally a person that has traits, they can run through all 9 of the traits. It's not a permanent thing. A person that has NPD usually have fixed traits. there are 5 to 6 traits that they have, fixed traits that no matter what relationship they go on, is you know them like the back of your hand. You know that these 5 traits, they're always going to have these 5 traits. They're always going to display these 5 traits, that, but they're permanent. They don't change. It doesn't matter who they get with. You know them like the back of your hand. They have these 5 traits. A person that, the 5 traits to make them have the disorder that causes them or qualifies them for the disorder. A person that has traits may run through different traits all the time. So it may not be just those 5 traits. They may run through all 9 of the traits at different time. They just fluctuate through the traits. 11 minutes. Okay. They may fluctuate through the different traits, but and then sometimes they're with a person and sometimes you think they have NPD, and in actuality, they may not want you, or they may not be mature, or they're not ready for a relationship, or they haven't found the right person, or, they have children and you can tell with their children that they're remorseful. You can tell the difference, by watching them and how they act with certain people. How do they handle their family? How do they handle their children? How do they handle their loved ones? And then how do they handle you? If what they're doing with family and everything, is healthy and they're remorseful and they're, but with you, they're doing something different, but I'll probably do a class on that because I don't have, because of, how quick we're going through through this broadcast, the podcast, that I can't really focus directly on trying to show everyone how to differentiate between the traits. But what I may do is a class to show you, traits versus disorder. And I will have a registration for that where I can talk to you about and teach you the difference between traits and the disorder itself. And I'm bringing you that from the new field of study by Sandra Brown, the new field of study called the Institute of Reduction of Relational Harm, Pathological Love Relationships, where she does describe the difference between what we actually call traits versus the actual disorder and how to differentiate the two. And I will probably do a class on that. Just be real, do me a favor, just text that to me and put down a class on differentiating between narcissist traits versus narcissist disorder. And I'm going to do a class and offer that class. But if you ask me to do the class, you got to register for the class when I do the class. So that means you got to go, once I do the class, either I'll do it live or I'll pre-record it so that you can go and purchase the class so that you will know for yourself how to differentiate the two clinically understanding how the two differ, and not pop culture, not what you're hearing on, a lot of people that come, unfortunately, and this is one of the things that in the training they say as well, that you have so much information out there on social media that a lot of times the information is being provided is incorrect. It's not clinically correct. A lot of times you're getting information for people that have been hurt and now are educating you about narcissist abuse, but in actuality are still hurt and have not gone through any type of therapy themselves, or have not gone through trauma therapy themselves pertaining to narcissist abuse or pathological relationship to learn clinically, what they've gone through, what they're by, and trauma disorders. And so I'll make sure to do that. Seems I'm hit or miss with your notifications. I didn't know about your class. Well, I had a conference. On the 26th, 27th. Now, Harold, I have a conference every year. And it was a very nominal fee. It was not very expensive, and you could have afforded it because, number one, I know you retired military, and I know you get a paycheck every first of the month. And if you don't get it on the first, you get it the night before. And depending on who you bank with, is maybe a day or night or a night or two prior to. See, I know because me and you both retired military, so I know. Yeah. Let me see. Yeah, every end of July, every year at the end of July, I do my conference. At the end of every year at the end of July, I do my conference. That's right. Say it. So let's see. Hey, Helen, how are you doing? Well, I'll take, how many minutes do I have left? Just be real. My watch just went out. My battery just died. How many minutes do I have? Just be real. Ooh, excuse me. Chris said one of the worst are narcissistic pastors. Absolutely. Because their whole focus, there's always an ulterior motive. Now, 7 minutes, okay. One thing I say, God doesn't regret the gifts and the callings on people's lives. But sometimes what people do is they right, Harold. But it's unfortunate because people will pervert it and use it for the wrong reason. They'll use that for the wrong reason. And when you get narcissistic pastors or narcissistic leaders, a lot of times they get in positions and they take advantage of the position that they're in and the vulnerability of the people that are coming in for help. I just like therapists. You have narcissist therapists, and a lot of times they get in it, and some of them are altruistic. Remember, I'll tell you about the altruistic narcissists. They come in and they know they can do good work, but there's always an ulterior motive. And the ulterior motive is for you to worship them, for you to give up your soul, for you to believe that everything that they say is correct. Therapists can be wrong too, but just like with the leadership, they get into these positions of power and they feel empowered. They feel like they're in control. And what they do is they forget why they're there, and they take advantage of the vulnerability of the people that are coming to them for help and guidance. So that is the worst ones, the ones that are in positions of power, that take advantage of their power and forget why they're there in the first place. Leadership is not about being seen. Leadership is not, it comes with the territory, but leadership and leading and guiding people and helping people is not a matter of you being seen and getting the credit, but what it is how many people you can help. One thing that I learned in the military, the higher you go up in the rank, the more power you have, the more influence you have, the more people you network with, the more you can help the troops that follow you, the more that you can help the people that you are leading. So the more power you have, the more influence you have, the more people you're connected with, the more resources you can get to help the people that are actually under your leadership. That is the definition of leadership. It's not about being seen, but it's about how many people you can help. And by using your influence and your power, how many people can you help that are following you? You know what I mean? So listen, I'm gonna go ahead and get off because my moderator I want to respect her time. I usually stay on just a little longer, but I want to respect her time because her time is kind of brief tonight because she has something else that she has to do, and I don't like to be on live without her because that's my go-to. That's my girl. And she takes care of me while I'm here. Well, first of all, I want to thank you all for being here. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. Thank you so much for supporting me. And thank you so much for so many of you who have been here when I first started my channel. For many times we may go back and revamp the channels and take all them old videos off. But I want you to have the opportunity when you look at the videos, you're watching me grow in knowledge as well. And as I get trained and as I learn more things, you see that, how I taught or the things that I knew, I go back and I correct now. Like this is what I've learned. I used to think the same way. And I want you to know one of the biggest things that was taught, that's being taught while we were in these classes, for the reduction of relational harm, the pathological relationships, is that this is not the kind of information or education that we have on a graduate level. So don't assume that if you decide to be a therapist, when you go to graduate school to become a therapist, this is not taught in the academic settings. This is the kind of stuff that is now offered, the training that is offered to many of us as continuing education or certification courses that we pay for out of pocket to learn. And so this is not the kind of things that we learn in graduate programs. So as a therapist, I'm learning as I go too, because this is a very, very interesting topic to me. As many of you guys know, I am a survivor myself and I'm a therapist. And so not only did I survive or I had to deal with, or I still have to deal with because I have a child by the individual, and I still have to deal with the pathology, the psychopathology, the psychopathy and the pathological issues of this individual. But now I have to teach the next generation, teach my children, teach the next generation. And just like as a therapist and as a coach trainer, I like to educate you all, because what you're learning, you need to go educate people about, so that we have, number one, the proper wording, the proper definition. And many of you guys that will be seeking positions within the legal system, the court systems, family court systems, you now will be able to provide information and the right verbiage, the right conversation in a in a court setting, so that we don't go into the court and say he's a narcissist, she's a narcissist, they're a narcissist. No, now you can come in with the correct terminology, and for therapists we can provide the right assessments to show how a traumatized individual or a person that has gone through this has been traumatized by the behaviors and the abuse by these toxic, the dark triad. Remember, the narcissist, the psychopath or psychopathy, and the antisocial personality disorder, the low conscious individual or no conscious individual, or low to no emotional empathetic person. So I want you to know, how do I do can I do a class on how to help the adult children? Well, in these classes, when I do it, it'll help you have conversations with them, and so we can maybe do a private question and answers where we focus from topic to topic. And so we can do that, Erica. I might be able to do a class where our focus is questions and answers, focusing on how to help children or adult children. And that will give you an opportunity where we get to see each other on Zoom, and we can ask questions. We can come up with answers as a group. I can give you information, and we can work these things through. Trust you me, whenever I do these conferences, whenever I do my conferences, it allows you to have one-on-one time with the people that I have on my forum. And everyone that has come has had an opportunity to get one-on-one time. Sharima knows, and a couple of other people that have been on know that you get to have a one-on-one time with the people that are on my platform. And so even when I do this on Zoom, it gives you an opportunity to have one-on-one time with me. And of course, Just Be Real is there, and we get to sit and talk about these specific conversations. You're so welcome, Elisa. You're so welcome. But we get to have one-on-one conversations about these particular topics. And for some of you, the adult children in general, teenagers, young adults, conversations like that. Just email me, Dr. Carmen Bryant at outlook.com. Tell me which private classes you would like to have so that we can get on Zoom and have private conversations, because there are things that I cannot say on social medias and certain terminology I can't use while I'm on public platforms. And when we're on Zoom, I'm raw. And I say it just like it is. If it barks like a dog, it walks like a dog, and it's a duck. That's a narcissist thinking. If it barks like a dog and walks like a dog, it's a duck. So that's a narcissist thinking. But for me, if it walks like a duck, if it talks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a duck, and we're going to talk about it. And especially in private settings, I'm very raw, and I'm not embarrassed to answer questions, and I'm not embarrassed to say what I got to say, whether it's about, the physiological aspects, the mental aspects, relationships and things like that, intimacy and things like that. I don't have a problem, male and female alike. And so I just want to tell you guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you guys. Make sure you share this, because somebody needs to hear this. And sometimes you may ask a question that other people were afraid to ask, and somebody's going to get the answer by the question that you ask. You guys have a beautiful, beautiful evening. Thank you so much. And I will try. Greg, is that you? Is that Gregory? Hello, Gregory. How are you doing? Well, you on my channel? How are you doing, sir? Welcome to my channel. I appreciate you. You late now. Now you got to go back and watch the replay. But thank you so much for being here, sir. I appreciate your support. But please, you guys go back, share the video with somebody, because you don't know, the question that you ask, may be an answer that somebody was looking for. The question that they were afraid to ask may have been a question that you asked. And so, and even in this video, talking about it from a clinical perspective, not just from, the pop culture, the pop social, it's actually called pops, what they call it, pop psychology, the popular psychology, pop psychology. No, this is coming from a clinical perspective, and this is coming from underneath the training of Miss Sandra Brown. You guys look up the Sandra Brown. I think her book is called Women Who Love Psychopaths. Women Who Love Psychopaths. And I'll try to post the book so that you guys can purchase the book. But hey there, Karen, we'll see you in Dallas this week. And those of you that are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, make sure that you come and check us out. We're going to be there for the speaking engagement. She's going to post the ticket leap so that you can get you a ticket to come out to Dallas. I will be in Dallas from Wednesday of this week. So Well, I fly in Wednesday, so I'll be there the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th. I fly back out on the 12th. So those of you that are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, make sure you hit Ticket Leap so you can get yourself a ticket and come out there and hear us speakers out there. I'm telling you, you're going to be blessed. It's powerful, and I appreciate each one of you. You guys have a good evening, because I'll keep on talking. I know Jess Brewer has got to go. You guys have a great evening, and you guys go be great. Remember, go be great. Share the video with people, because somebody, believe it or not, you're trying to talk to somebody, they're not listening to you, but they may tap on the video. They don't want me to know. They don't want you to know. They'll tap on the video and they'll listen, okay? And I appreciate you. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for being here. You guys have a wonderful evening, and good night, everybody. Good night, everybody. You guys have a great evening.